to Sewing for a Living tutorials, where I share different sewing techniques and how I like to make some of the most common sewing alterations and repairments. In this video I'm going to show you how to attach invisible zipper to a dress that has no lining and no facings, but does have a waistline seam that you need to be careful to match when sewing. You are going to need the invisible zipper foot that has those two separate grooves for both sides of the invisible zipper. You are also going to need the regular zipper foot, which you are going to use for the transition between the zipper and the joining seam below it. If you don't have an invisible zipper foot, you can use the regular zipper foot for the whole project. You are also going to need the regular foot for the actual joining seam under the zipper. Here I have a dress with the zipper already sewn. It has a seam at the waist that I need to be careful for. I want to match the seam at both sides of the zipper. And because I have no lining or facing on this dress, here is how it is going to look on the inside. Here are some more things I want to pay attention to. First, I don't want the zipper tape to show over the top of the neckline. Second, I don't want too much of the zipper tape showing and the zipper to be as invisible as possible, but I also don't want the seam going too close and over the teeth so that the zipper won't close. Here is how to do it. I already have the neckline hemmed and the seam allowance serged to clean the edges of the details. If you don't have a serger, you can use some other overcasting seam or zigzag the edges for more sophisticated look. Next, I need to determine the position of the zipper. To place it right, I like to imagine the zipper as already sewn, which is the zipper and the dress face sides together. I'm going to open it because that's how I'm going to sew it. Then, lay the zipper facing up and turn it over to align the seam allowance with the zipper tape and the top stopper to the neckline. For a girl's dress, the zipper has to go approximately 6 inches or 15 centimeters under the waist in order to be functional. For a woman's dress, you may go for 8 inches or 20 centimeters. I usually just eyeball it and go with the zipper length. To start, I'm going to insert the invisible zipper foot. It has two separate grooves for each side of the zipper. I will start with the right side. First, I'm going to align the top of the stopper with the top of the neckline and the edge of the zipper tape with the edge of the back center seam allowance. The free end of the zipper tape is going to stick out for now. Then I'm going to put some pins to fix the zipper in place. I sew at the right side first, so I'm going to insert the zipper coil into the right groove on the invisible zipper foot. I'm going to lock my stitch at the beginning. Now, if you just sew the zipper like this, a bit of the zipper tape is going to be visible on the face side. There is a trick to sew the zipper as if it is really invisible. You need to flatten the zipper coil so that you sew as close to the teeth as possible. I'm doing that with my fingers as I go. In order to sew close on the right side, keep the needle centered. If you move it to the left, you are going to sew too far from the coil and the zipper tape will show on the face side of the dress. If you find it hard to do this way, you should iron the zipper coil flat prior to sewing the zipper and go as close as you can. But be careful not to go over the coil because if you do, the zipper won't close. I'm going to sew all the way down until I have at least 6 inches or 15 centimeters of the zipper under the waist. My zipper is a bit too long, so I'm not going to sew it all the way down. I lock the seam on this side as well. I'm closing the zipper to see if I've sewn it nicely, and I see that I've sewn over the coil, so I need to unpick a bit at the top. Apart from that, I like how the rest of the zipper turned out. Next, I need to attach the zipper on the other side. This time I need to be more careful where I position the zipper. First, I need both sides of the waist seam to match. Second, I want to match the end of the seam on both sides as well. This way the transition between the zipper and the center back seam would be easier to make. I'm going to use a pencil to mark exactly where these points are on the other side of the zipper. Then I'm going to transfer those marks to the wrong side of the zipper, which is going to be on top when I sew. I'm careful to match the marks on the zipper with the right side of the dress and the top stoppers with the neckline. I also don't want to twist the zipper as I attach it to the other side. Once again, I'm going to lay the zipper facing up and turn it over to align with the seam allowance, face sides together with the dress, and pin it in place. To sew as close as possible to the zipper teeth, sew the left side, guiding the coil into the left groove, and move the needle to the left. Flatten the zipper coil with your fingers and go all the way down until you reach the second mark that shows where to stop sewing. Reverse stitch a few times to lock the seams. Flip the zipper in so that it stays inside the dress and zip it up to see how you've done. I like how I've matched the zipper at the waist and the neckline, so I'm moving on to make the bottom of the seam. Align the fabric on both sides of the dress under the zipper. I'm going to put a pin to keep them in place. Then use the standard zipper foot to make the transition between the center back seam and the invisible zipper. I sew on the left side of the zipper foot and with my needle positioned to the left so that I go as close to the zipper as I can. Start from the bottom up at the same distance that you are going to leave for seam allowance at the center back seam. Make sure to keep the zipper out of the way and align the fabric so that you sew only through both layers of fabric. Sew it up until both stitches intersect at least 3/8 of an inch or 1 centimeter. Again, check on the face side to see if all the seams are aligned and the transition between the zipper and the rest of the seam is smooth. I like how mine turned out, so I'm going to continue with the rest of the seam. Using the regular zipper foot, start a bit over the end of the transition seam to intersect those two seams as well, and then go all the way down to the hem. Here is my invisible zipper almost done. I need to do just one more thing since I don't have lining or facings on this dress. I need to hide the free end of the zipper tape so it's not visible on the face side. Just fold it in and sew over the neckline seam so you don't have another seam that is visible on the face side. If you prefer, you can fold the free end of the zipper tape under in the beginning and skip this step at the end. Here are my finished dresses. This is how the invisible zipper looks on the wrong side and on the face side. And here are my girls modeling them. I'll link to the pattern in the description below if you are interested. I hope you liked this video. If so, give it a like and subscribe for more sewing and pattern drafting tutorials. Thank you for watching.